Hello and welcome to today's episode. We're going to be breaking down what is private label and how to be successful doing so on Amazon. Now, this is how I got my start, creating and selling private label products or private label brands on Amazon back in 2014, and it is one of the models that I still do to this day. So let's take a look at the ups, the downs, and break down what it takes to go from nothing to a full-fledged Amazon business selling Amazon products. So as I said, I got started with my journey on Amazon doing private label back in 2014. I started with a dog bark control collar. Now I won't get into all the reasons why I did that to start with, but I was able to grow this product, this brand, into $318,000 in sales in 2015 and sold off that brand and all its assets in 2016 to another company that sold dog products. Now in 2016, as I sold that brand, I started a home and kitchen brand that I still sell to this day, and I continue to run private label in my daily business. So now let's take a look and do a breakdown of what private label is, what it takes to go through that, so you have a clear understanding of whether this is the right method for you. So what is private label? It's introducing a brand new item to the Amazon marketplace. Now, let me explain that a little bit. This doesn't mean you're having to sit down and design a new can opener, or you're, coming up with some completely original thing. It simply means you're introducing a product to Amazon as your own brand, as your own product, which might mean you do some design changes, maybe not. Sometimes you can tweak something that's already built by a manufacturer. Sometimes you can change the color or the size. But a lot of times, just getting started in the business, it's unnecessary to do any of that. You do your own unique branding in the sense of a different box, a different logo, your own take on how it is supposed to work and function and who you talk to in your marketing, and you are responsible from this from start to finish. So picking your product, finding the supplier, getting it made, building the listing on Amazon, and we'll go over all that, but you are responsible for the entire thing. So some people like that about private label, some do not. That's something you'll have to decide for yourself. So this is the breakdown process of generally what you would do to decide how to sell a private label product on Amazon. First, when you're getting started, you have to determine your own risk tolerance, then evaluate what we often refer to as BSR or best sellers rank. You choose your niche, then your product, then you find suppliers for that product. You create your product listing, you start a sales launch, and then you refine and expand your brand as you go. So let's get into a little bit more detail about each one of these in the process. I'm going to show you examples as we go along the way so that you can see in real time and in real life what this looks like on Amazon. So first, determining your risk tolerance. And the reason that I put this first is most of us don't have an inordinate amount of time and money when we're getting started. We either have some extra time on our hands, or we're willing to sacrifice other things to make this work, or we maybe have a little extra money because we work a lot already and we want to turn that into an asset so we don't have to put so much time into something else. So for those that maybe have more money but not a lot of time on their hands, might go for a little bit more risky of a product. And when I say risky, I just mean more competition, a little harder to break into, because they can put more money toward that asset. Now, if you have all the time on your hands, but you don't have a lot of money, then you're going to go with a lower competition, lower risk. You're going to make less sales, and you're going to make less money initially, but you're more likely to be successful with a low-level product getting started. This is totally up to you. Now, personally, I didn't have a lot of time or money, and I just went for it. I was fortunate to be successful on my first product, but there are ways now that you can kind of eliminate a lot of that risk by doing it the proper way instead of the way I did it. And I'll walk you through those too. All right. So now our second thing is understanding one of the most important terms on Amazon, and that's BSR, or Best Sellers Rank. As I put it, this is just Amazon's fancy way of saying what items sell more on Amazon compared to others. Now, this isn't a price thing. So something that sells for $5 versus something that sells $100, it's not about price. It's only about number of units sold. And it's kind of a backwards system where the number one sells more units than number two, and so on and so forth. And I'll show you how that works. We're going to pull up this top 100 BSR for each category, and I'll explain what this is and what it means to be evaluated hourly and so on. So if we take a look at this, okay, this is just a page for barbecue grills, okay? And I have a little plugin here that shows some extra information about this. So here we see a product that has a BSR of 71,000 in the top level category of patio, lawn, and garden. Right below it, we see another grill that has a BSR of 1,340 in the same category. So, because this number is closer to 1 than this number, this one sells a lot more units than that one does. Here's something else in patio, lawn, and garden. Okay, it has a BSR of 6,933. So it sells less than this, but more than that. So we can see we're comparing items over a whole category and not just keywords. So like these are both in the same category, and we can tell that this one sells more than that. Now, we can just Google Amazon bestsellers, and it takes us to what's called their top 100. And it's done by what's called top level category. So here we see the toys and games category. Right now, Jenga is selling more units than every other item that's listed in the toys and games category. The next is sidewalk chalk. Okay? Now, this is interesting because as at the time I'm recording this, we're in the middle of shutdowns for coronavirus. And so people are out doing things like sidewalk chalk because they can stay close to their house. They can write nice messages that people see on their walk, but they can still stay socially distanced. It gets the kids out of the house, so on. And as we go through other categories, you know, electronics category, the Fire Stick is the #1 selling. Now, keep in mind, this is evaluated hourly by Amazon. So it does fluctuate, but stays relatively the same in the course of a day unless somebody does some type of off Amazon flash sale, which is not something you need to worry about because you'll be looking at these categories over and over again. So here's an interesting one. Clothing, shoes, and jewelry. Okay? The #1 seller right now is this face mask. #3 is a face mask. If we click on that category and we look, face mask, face mask, face mask, face mask. There's also a lot of Crocs in here, which I find funny. But anyways, not important. Bandanas, face masks. Why is that? That's because a lot of states are requiring face masks for going out in public right now. So this won't always be the case, but it is trending right now, and you can see that through there's another face mask, more Crocs, which I find hilarious. Whoever created Crocs is making a killing, by the way. So it's just so you can get an idea of what's selling in comparison to other products. And that's what you want to know is there a lot of competition? Is there a lot of value in that people are buying these items? Now, you don't necessarily want to go launch a face mask right now, because that is a trend that's going to possibly go away once this is all done. But the people that were already in that spot are selling way more than they ever planned on. Now let's get back to this. Part of assessing risk is when you're deciding to sell a product that has a lot of items that are closer to the top 100, like face masks, there's going to be more competition. When you find things that are in the 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 BSR range, there's less competition. And so that's where coming into assessing your risk is. Do you want to go after one of these big name products or competitive categories because you have the time and the money to throw at it? Or do you want to start less? I generally recommend that someone getting out started brand new goes after something that's in the 10 to 20,000 BSR range, simply so that they have a better chance of being successful from the beginning. Now the next thing is choosing your niche. Now if we go back and look at these, we can see that there are quite a few, okay? As we just go down the side here, you can sell in arts and crafts, in automotive, in baby, in camera and photo, cell phone and accessories, clothing, electronics, health and household, home and kitchen, kitchen and dining, musical instruments, office products, patio, lawn, garden, pets, sports and outdoors, tools and home improvement. So there's a lot of categories to decide on. Now, I didn't used to feel this way, but I think it's important now that people consider what they know about. Now, I didn't know anything about bark collars to start with, but it didn't matter back in 2014, and it doesn't necessarily matter now. But if you know something about certain products, let's say you cook a lot, you're in the kitchen, or you have a dog or a cat or a bird or a turtle, or you play some type of sport, or you're into some outdoor activity. If you know a lot about it and you're interested in it, it'll be easier to assess what's a good product, what's not. So I don't even have a dog, but I sold dog bark collars. It was very hard for me to test whether a product was actually any good or not when I got it from the manufacturer. Now, there's other things that I'm interested in that would be a better niche for me to go into now because I understand whether something is of quality or not. Just something to consider. Also, consider aspects like what would sell well right now. Now, that doesn't mean going after, trends like a fidget spinner, because those things are dead and gone. But, there will always be things that do sell better than others. Things that keep people entertained, things for babies, things for pets, things for hobbies, because people spend money on these, whether times are good or bad. And that's the last question. What will sell well all the time? So let's say you find a product that you could sell, but it's only going to sell for Halloween. Do you really want to set up a business that is only going to sell products that are marketed for a month out of the year? Probably not the way you'd want to get started now. So maybe pick something that people will always use because, they are always having babies. They're always, taking care of their pets. They're always cooking, things like that. Just ideas of how to pick a niche. Now, the next thing is how to choose your product once you've picked a niche. Now, these are just some generic guidelines. And the reason for these is because Amazon has fees that they charge to ship your product, to store your product, and all these factors affect those Amazon guidelines. So, shipping, of course, you want it to be lightweight. Something that's 1 pound versus 20 pounds is a lot cheaper to ship. And you're going to be first shipping it from your manufacturer to Amazon, and then from Amazon to your customer. When we say small or fits in a shoebox, that's about Amazon's guidelines for what they considered a small product versus a large product. the smaller it is, so if it fit in a shoebox, the less it's going to cost for shipping, but it's also going to cost less for Amazon fees. Now, not easily broken is because the last thing you want to do is have a shipment show up from your manufacturer or show up to customers that's getting broken during shipping. So nothing with glass, nothing with intricate little parts that can be broken, but something made of wood, made of plastic. I'll give you some examples, such as the barbecue glove. I've used this in our introduction video, and think about why this is such a good private label product looking at these factors. Lightweight, fits in a shoebox, not easily broken, not a fad. Okay? So when we look at each of those factors, small, obviously fits in a shoebox, very lightweight. They're not easily broken because they're generally made of silicone or cloth, so unless they're getting ripped, which is unlikely. They're not a fad. People will use these to grill and cook and everything for a long time, so they're not going away. And our last factor, though, can you differentiate? This is why I wouldn't recommend somebody goes after barbecue gloves now, because these were a hit item back in 2014, 15, and so on. But now it's going to be very hard to differentiate among the people that have been selling for years these barbecue gloves on Amazon. So they have ones in different colors, different styles, different heat. They have people that have extras that go along with it, so bonuses. It's going to be very, very hard for you to stand out. So even though it's small, it's lightweight, it's inexpensive to get started with, you're going to have a very hard time competing in being able to differentiate. So what next? Once you've picked a product, you're going to want to find a supplier for that product that is already making it or making something similar. Let's go to the number one source that you should start with, Alibaba.com. Now this is a website that hosts hundreds of thousands of manufacturers all over the world, but mainly in China. So you can pretty much find anything on here, and this is the best place for someone that's new to start looking for a manufacturer. And the reality is most things come from China right now. People are used to that. There's no more worry about whether the goods are worth it or not. People are used to this. So let's look at that idea of barbecue gloves. Now, I'm not saying to go out and source this, but I want to give you an idea of what you're going to be doing. So when you've decided what your product is, you want to do this. You're going to start at Alibaba. You're going to message 10 to 20 manufacturers about the product that they have, because you want to see their response times and the quality of products that they have, because you want to make sure that you want to work with them as well. And then we'll go over what the next steps are. So we can see, we type in barbecue gloves, we get a lot of results with a lot of different styles. Okay, so let's say that no one was selling a green barbecue glove on Amazon. Well, maybe we click on this one, we send them a message so that we can find out what their pricing is, what their return factor is. You can already see that they've been in business for 11 years. They have a 4.8 rating, which is good. They have verification and insurance, which all those suggest this is a high quality manufacturer that you could trust. But the only problem is, let's say you only message this one, and then they don't message you back for a week because they're swamped. Well, that's why you want to message between 10 to 20 different manufacturers to see who gets back to you first. Then you can take a look at what their pricing is, how much they require you to order, their shipping times, their processing times, whether they'll add in little things like your logo here or these extras automatically free of charge. That's how you go about picking your supplier. I wouldn't get hung up too much on deciding that there's only one choice that works for you, because you're kind of pigeonholed then with your supplier, but message many of them. And then once you have negotiated a purchase quantity and the price and the shipping, and you're comfortable with it, order a sample. Now it's going to probably cost you $20 to $30 just to order one sample, one pair of gloves or something like that, but it's totally worth it, because the last thing you want to do is buy a couple hundred units of something and then it turns out to be garbage. And I hate to say it, but the one time I broke my own rule and didn't order samples, I paid for it. Then there's shipping terms such as how much you have to put down and so on, but that's just a negotiation factor. Now next, once you've ordered your product and you're going to start selling it on Amazon, you're responsible for creating the entire product listing. Now let me show you what one of those looks like. We're going to go to a barbecue gloves kit and show this is a private label seller. And let me show you kind of how you can know that. What's a good private label product. So let's take a look at these barbecue grills. Now, people recognize the name Weber. They recognize Broil King. They recognize Char-Broil. Those are big names, Cuisinart, that have a corner on this market. It's going to be very difficult for you to break into something that people look for brand name products. But if we go over to barbecue gloves, nobody cares what the name of their barbecue gloves are. Sarch, GK3, Rapica, G&F products, Home Max. These aren't brands you've heard of, so they're most likely private label sellers. And that's exactly what you'll be doing, is creating your own name and creating a brand out of it. So let's look at what one of those does. Okay, so here GK3, Grace Kitchenwares is what it stands for, has built a product listing, and I'll show you what you are responsible for, because some of the stuff on this page you are and some you're not. So this title is written by the person that is the private labeler. They have control over this. Now, Amazon sets their guidelines, but they control what's written here. They also control all these bullet points and what are written here. They control the pictures that are put here. They control these pictures and what's written here. And then they also control the responses to the questions that come in from customers. Now, the only thing they can't control is the reviews, but we'll get into that a little bit more. So, what you first do is use any of the online tools that are available for Amazon, and that's the nice thing about selling in 2020, is there are so many tools out there, and many of them free, that you can do a lot of this research on your own. You don't have to pay for big expensive products like we had to back in 2014 to find out this information, or just wing it. So you want to get good keywords that people are actually searching on Amazon and put those in your title. Then you want to create bullet points that are compelling. They do more than just list features. They make people feel good about it. Then you want to either take pictures of your product or create them in Photoshop if you know how to do that, because these are more than just a generic picture of a barbecue glove. Look how nice these pictures are. A nice clean white background, vibrant colors. Then they show it up close and in use so people can picture what they can do with it. It shows them grabbing hot things, which is the point, how good the shredder claws are, and more. So what you really want to do is your pictures to illustrate the story of what your product does best. Same with the bullets. You want them to tell a story. You don't just say, oh, good quality material. Look at these. Shredders are the bomb. That makes people feel good about it. Then you go on to finish the product description and the entire listing. Now, this is where it gets a little intricate, because What you need to do next to be successful in private label is to do what's called a sales launch. So just because you put your product up for sale on Amazon doesn't mean that it's going to get found. It needs to get found by its keywords, and Amazon first needs you to so-called stand up and wave your hand saying, hey, we're here for sale, we're a quality product, you should show us when people type in barbecue gloves. So what you do is by starting the sales and pushing sales and what we call sales velocity. Now, a lot of people when they're getting started, they do this through their friends and family. And you know what? Why not? You go, you ask a few of them to, buy your product on Amazon, take a look at it, leave you a nice, honest review, and that starts the sales process. So Amazon sees you're there. Then you get a couple of good reviews in, which gives trust to people that don't know you that are going to buy it. And it starts to bring that BSR up where you'll start getting shown on Amazon. Now, there's other tools that can push launches. There's Facebook groups and different methods that people use, but you'll start to gain sales. Once you do that, there's a very simple Amazon advertising platform that can do a lot of it automatically for you when you're starting. You just put in your bid for how much you want to spend, and Amazon finds the right keywords for you. They show it all for you. It's not difficult. They set it up all for you, and it's a great way to push sales. And the fact is Amazon rewards you for spending money in their advertising platform by showing you more in the search results. Next, once you've got your product up and going, you're going to want to refine and expand. Now, this includes improving the copy or anything written on the page. Maybe you find new keywords, you write something that's a little bit more enticing. You hire somebody who's a professional copywriter to write you a listing, because now you're making money from your sales and you can afford to put it back into your business so that your page converts even better. You get more professional pictures taken. You pay somebody to do some good Photoshop to really get those nice pictures looking. Then, once you've generated a few high quality reviews that are 5 stars and they're really in depth and talk about how good your product does, and they've maybe got some pictures included, you get those bumped up to really show on that page so people can have trust in your product. Then you go in and you refine your advertising to get you more sales for less cost. You can start off Amazon sales strategy, including building Facebook pages and other assets, an Instagram page if you have a type of product that is viable for that, a YouTube page if it's something that's exciting and people can have fun posting their videos and whatever. And then you continue to grow your brand. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. You refine the product that you have itself by adding nice packaging, getting your logos added to your products, building a customer email list, and then you go on to grow your product list. Now, let me show you. I didn't look this up ahead of time, but I'm guessing that this Grace Kitchenwares sells more than just one set of barbecue gloves. If we click on their name, sure enough, look at this. Look at all the different barbecue utensils and types of gloves that they sell. So they've really cornered this part of the market by selling many, many options, because maybe somebody doesn't want that specific style, but will find another one of theirs that they can sell. They can cross-sell. They can send out discounts to previous buyers to try out, a new glove that they have put for sale. And look at all the options that they have to really, really make sales. If I just took a real brief glance at all these numbers, you see the BSR that we're talking about, some selling well, some selling not. It's pretty easy to guess that this company is probably selling, I would venture to say, somewhere around $1.5 to $2 million worth of barbecue gloves easily just off these few listings. Yeah, easily they're selling close to $2 million worth. That all started from probably just one product, and then they expanded on all the things that they already knew and just kept repeating. That's how they built a full-fledged Amazon business just from those efforts. So, albeit private label is the most intensive because you have to take everything from start to finish. But the good part of that is that allows you control of all of it. You can decide how much competition you want. You can decide which product to go after. You can decide how to deal with your manufacturers and what makes a good picture. And so let me give you a real brief story. My product, when I started with Bark Control collars, was not any different than anyone else's, except I had better pictures, a better listing, and I wrote a brief little manual that was included that would help people get the best use out of the product. I was able to sell so many because people were comfortable and trusted a product that would explain exactly how to use it. Because honestly, training your dog, especially with something like a shock collar, can be very traumatizing. So the product that went above and beyond was what they wanted to buy, even though there's much cheaper products on Amazon. So that's the overview or the breakdown of what private label is and the method to take it from start to finish. Now you need to kind of assess that, especially after we go over the 4 methods, and see which one's right for you. I love private label. I love the whole process of starting a brand from nothing and finding products that interest me, building a niche, building a brand, and growing that over time. I love the whole process, but maybe that's not you. Maybe you want to get into something that's already a little bit more established, where you can just start making sales right off the bat. And we'll cover some of those in the next few videos. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed that episode. We're at 30 plus minutes. I hope that gave you a real good look inside. We're going to cover a few more methods over the next few days, and then we're going to look at how each of you can individually assess what is the best route to go for you. I hope you're enjoying these episodes. Leave me a comment, send me an email, anything. Have a good day. We'll talk to you later.